I'll just welcome us all along and start with a karakia. Tue ki runga, tue ki raro, tue ki waho, tue ki roto. Tue ki te here tangata, ka rongo te po, ka rongo te ao. Humie, huie, taiaki. Hey, it's great to see everyone that could make it here today. Thanks heaps for coming along, and some of you have travelled again, so thanks for doing that. We've got a few apologies. I think we've got Mayor Glenn Lewis, but it's possible that he joins us online, but I'm pretty sure he's an apology. We got Steve, we've got Mayor Brian Cadogan as well. Anyone else? Alex. Oh, Glenn.
Hello. Mike's coming across the street as we're saying he's been accosted by a pirate and a big gingerbread man, apparently. That's what he's just told me.
I can verify I did see a pirate outside, as odd as that may seem.
Pirate and gingerbread man outside.
Thanks for that update there from Queenstown. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's good to have you here, Mayor Lewis.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, awesome.
Good to get out of the bloody, I don't know if you know, I was bloody coming back from COVID, so.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm allowed out of the house now.
Perfect. Glad you're feeling a little bit better by the sounds of it. Okay, we got the minutes there from the 21st of September. If somebody cares to move those and try and accurate.
Under that, Madam Chair.
Oh, thank you.
Checking that.
Okay, thanks. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. On to the report items, and I think we're just straight into the group manager report, although I think I saw, yeah, no, there's, that's right, yeah, just manager's report, and we've got Matt Alley here with us to take us through that if we need. And yeah, a number of items that you can lead us through there if you like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just a quick update regarding staffing. In the recent weeks since writing this report, we have advertised the coastal team leader role. We did have a preferred candidate, but that person has since withdrawn. So we'll have to go around again. We're working through that. That remains our only vacancy. Currently, all other positions are filled, which is great. It's taken us a while to get to that point. In terms of action items, the public information plan, and this was, it came out of the Bush report. There's an action item there that has been completed and circulated. There is a workshop that is still in need of completion, so we're planning that for early next year.
Good one, yeah.
It's a work in progress. The Lifeline utility activation protocol has been updated and circulated amongst stakeholders, and there's a prioritisation piece that is due before KEG for Lifeline as well. Just noting that we did have that go to the last KEG meeting, however that meeting was cancelled due to circumstances beyond our control. So probably important to note that all of these agenda items have come through without actually the having gone through KEG first, so there's a rise straight here. So that remains in progress. There's commentary there regarding the Queenstown weather event. Just happy to treat that as read, unless anyone has any particular questions in relation to it or comments.
The only thing I had, Madam Chair, was whether from our side of the table there are any pearls of wisdom from Mike or Glenn that I'd like to share from the experience. I haven't ever had to declare, so I'm always keen to learn lessons from others.
I see on the screen Glenn has raised his hand.
Yeah, okay, thank you. It's hard to see that from here, so thanks. Yep, Glenn, did you want to comment?
Yeah, just on the report there, fourth sentence down on page 14 where it says the Glenorchy Lagoon overtop. I do not think that actually occurred. I think it got close to it, but it did not overtop. So just on that one there, geez, it seems so far away, and I've had a fair bit in between. I don't know if my CE will be much help on his reflections on what was going on at the time. He was sunning himself in Europe somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it seems like an age ago, and I'm trying to remember because it was such a fast-moving experience. Probably the biggest learning I have out of it is we were probably a bit caught short on PIMS, so communication, and we had to bring in people from outside of the organisation to fill in a few spots. And if the state of emergency had gone on probably for another couple of days, I think this organisation would have been struggling to hold the number of people to run the emergency centre. But overall, it's quite an amazing thing to see how everyone just clicks into gear and just does the job they're assigned to do. It is actually quite impressive to watch and witness. I was a nobody. I'd walk into that room and they just kept on working. It was very, very impressive. So that's pretty much all I've got to say on that one.
Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, it's really good feedback. Thank you.
Right.
Mike, did you want
Apart from at least acknowledging that the great planning that I undertook to be away on leave when it happened.
Well played.
Yeah. So look, I mean, I think that probably the key reflection was probably not. I think one of the key issues with this is actually knowing whether to declare or not, because in many respects, while we had a lot of water coming down, the concentrated, I suppose, deluge that hit the hill was actually quite isolated. Yes, there was a lot of water, but this one bore the brunt of it, and we see more and more of this sort of instance where we've got heavy weather, but actually there's only concentrated impacts in certain points, and if you just happen to be in that point, then you're going to get sort of badly devastated. But I'd echo from my observations and my understanding during the process, I think our team clicked in really well, got themselves out really quickly, and basically, as Glenn rightly said, it was sort of all hands to the pump. We've obviously been working through the recovery plan, and we've issued we've extended our transitional recovery plan now twice, I think. Is that right? Yeah. And so and we're now going to be winding that out in the next week or so, and return that to normal. So part of our business has been transitioning what is a series of distinct emergency works back into a more normalised program. That's been it's been quite interesting, because there have been sort of three very distinct impacts. So the most visible one is, or the most emotional one, is around the cemetery. The most visible one is the scars above the cemetery. But probably the most dangerous one ongoing is the Reivers Lane area up Gorge Road, where there's still a massive amount of relatively uncontrolled fill and spoil high on the hillside, which we're working with Skyline to contain. So, and all thanks to Matt and his team as well for the support through that process.
Thank you.
So just a recommendation that the report be received and the information.
Rightio then. Somebody care to move that?
I just have one more comment, Madam Chair, and that's in the language that we use in these things. We continually euphemize by using the word slash. It's industrial waste. If we start calling it that, the picture changes, but I'm happy to move that report be received.
Can I ask one question, Matt? Because Mike won't know them, me, Glenn might. Did you reach out to other authorities, when you look like you might be short of PIMS and things? Or was there no need in the end?
It was no need in the end. It was a consideration, but the short duration, I think we were there for sort of a day and a half, 2 days.
Yeah, so it wound out quite quickly as well, and then into recovery.
Okay, no further questions. Got the recommendations there then. Somebody care to move those? Thanks, Mayor Tim and Mayor Jules. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Right. I should have mentioned earlier that we're recording and well, it's for public, so that's why you're seeing the recording symbol up there. And also, I think Richard, you're going to leave a little bit early too. Oh yeah, okay, cool. So anyway, 4.2 Readiness and Response Committee update. So Glenn Mitchell is the author of this one.
Just be coming online shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon. Just to this report normally would just go to KEG and for their consideration, but because the KEG wasn't able to meet ahead of this, this paper's been put through to the joint committee. Effectively, just to reiterate that the capability strategy, which is an agenda item a little further on, was shared with the members of the Readiness and Response Committee and endorsed by that group. So just as a means of helping to steer the joint committee in their considerations over that. Probably the only other matter just worth some consideration when we were looking at the feedback from the local emergency services coordinating committees is discussion around the implication of it's around the country, but particularly in the rural hospitals, staffing shortages and the implications for that for operational capability of those health facilities in the event of an emergency.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or anything that arose from this? No? Oh, sorry, yes.
Something in regard to that last paragraph, which is mentioned later on, page 20, about the situation on Maroon for staff in ED departments. And my question is it worthwhile this committee writing a letter to the incoming minister or the new Minister of Health, suggesting that they, train more staff to fill the needs in these throughout the community, throughout the country. And so what I'm getting at is drawing his attention to the problem, which is a fairly common problem, especially in rural areas, less urbanised areas, which I tend to quite often are less popular for staff, the highly qualified staff to go to because they can have more advancement, I guess, in the bigger cities. But from a civil defence emergency management point of view, just to give him a different perspective, but I suppose a different lobbying voice in his hands on his table. So that's the question I put to the room.
Does anybody wish to respond to that point?
Yeah, I think it's definitely that health professional / global challenge that we've got around professionals in the health sector, and it's less. The cause is less about the willingness of people to go to more rural areas. Rather, it's usually that there's not the same structures as in large centres where there's a lot more staff. There's not the supervision for junior staff that we have at a main hospital. So that's some of the challenges that are there. In our case, yeah, we've had to rely on a lot of locums, and Te Whatu Ora bids against itself, drives the price up. So we ended up solving our problem by simply saying to Te Whatu Ora, we're going to have to play your game. And so rates of $200 an hour became $400, $500 an hour. Just crazy stuff. So I think we're certainly hoping to have a meeting with the new minister soon and discuss some of those sorts of issues. But I think it's having something come from us, like as suggested by Jules, I think would be helpful for them to actually put it into that perspective as well. So
Okay. No one else has any comments on that? We could have it, I guess, as a separate motion.
So
I don't know how
if you
formal these are normally are, or whether we just do it.
Well, I'll move that this committee writes a letter to the Minister of Health noting the shortage of medical practitioners in, I suppose, less urbanised less urbanised hospitals, and asking that action be taken to address the issue. So that keeps it pretty general.
We, I guess we've got a report here which is receiving and noting I'm just wondering whether it fits here. I guess it does, it'll be okay.
It could come later on where the subject of honour is discussed on page 20.
Yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Yeah, okay. All right, and did we capture that roughly? Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, thanks. We all know what we're voting on when the time comes. Does anyone have anything else they want to raise on this one? Yep.
Just a question on the representatives for the readiness and response committee. So it mentioned Mana Whenua. So how are the various Runaka representatives? There's one from everyone, or is there some other representatives?
We hand it over to Glenn to answer.
Yeah. So the generally there is one representative that's been sort of between them. They agreed that the representative from Otago would be there. Unfortunately, at this last meeting, there was no representative, but due to a vacancy, but that is being resolved.
Thank you.
Anything else? Right, okay, well, we got receives the report and notes the information, so I might do that one first and then we'll do the other one. So I'm going to move, I can move it, and Tim seconding that. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. And then the third one, which is around writing and advocating for medical professionals, I guess, in more rural areas, which is worded far more eloquently than that. You want to read it out, or?
This committee writes to the Ministry of Health noting the shortage of medical practitioners in less urbanised areas and asks that action be taken to address the issue.
Yep. Okay.
Minister.
Minister.
Yeah.
Minister of Health.
Minister, not ministry. Sorry.
Minister of Health is
Minister.
Dr. Shane Reddy.
Okay, thanks. So you're moving that and you've got a second, yep, Mayor Kircher. We'll put it then, all in favour, aye, against, carried. Right. 4.3 Otago Lifelines update, author being Mel Banks. That's there, and we've all read that, and Mel's online. Did you want
Hello, thank you.
Hi.
Hi, so I would like the report to be taken as read and provide an update on two of the items identified in the executive summary regarding the vulnerability assessment. We have engaged with TOA Consultancy and received a proposal in early November. Matt Alley and Glenn Mitchell and I reviewed the proposal, and we're going to go ahead with it. We're meeting with TOA tomorrow afternoon to finalise a contract. It was discussed in Matt, Glenn and I's review that we could fund that internally, and so it may not be dependent on LTP approval. So that's great news, which would bring commencement of the project to start in February next year through to approximately April. The information collected in this assessment would then be used to flow into the Otago Group Plan, which requires review in August next year. The second update I'd like to provide is the AF8 priority routes and critical infrastructure sites workshops. The ball has been moving quite quickly on this. Dates have been proposed by external facilitators. We've got Richard Mole from Wellington and Martin Worcester from Canterbury. We also have Richard Topman from Wakakotahi. They've been doing quite a bit of work on GIS with their roads. The external facilitators would like to do all the workshops of all the South Island in a very short time frame. So it's proposed for 2 workshops for Otago, broken into coastal and inland. The coastal workshop is proposed to be on Tuesday, the 27th of February, held in Dunedin, and that will capture Dunedin City Council and Waitaki District Council. And then on Thursday, the 29th of February, will be the next workshop in Alexandra, which will capture QLDC, CODC, and CDC. So we are just compiling contacts for that. It was recommended must-haves will be regional controllers, Wakakotahi representatives, and council road managers. Ideally, local controllers, mana whenua, NEMA, REMA, and planners, and if available, CDM staff, GIS technician, and utility staff. I thought, well, more discussions found that road and contractors would have been critical to having these workshops, so extending it out to the local contractors of each councils. So I'm working with my EMAs at the moment just to compile contacts and hopefully send out calendar invites tomorrow or Monday.
Okay. Got the minutes there as well of the Lifelines meeting. I think. Yep. Okay, anyone else? Yep.
Is not needed for those workshops.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that question.
Sorry, Mel, you don't need the mayors for those workshops. It's above our pay scale.
You're more than welcome to attend if you like, but it's at your discretion.
Would there be, would I gain useful knowledge from it, or would I just be in the way?
You'd never be in the way. I think a useful knowledge definitely, and if the time frame works with your calendar, I'll certainly extend the invite out to you.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks heaps. Nothing else? Okay, just receiving a note. Oh, sorry.
No, not for this. We'll go finish with this report. I got 2 little questions from the previous. So unfortunately, I read that the whole document is one, I suppose, and subdivided just as bits came to an end. So I've got a question for page 19 and 22 of the previous report. But they're just for the room, so it's not that well. And Glenn is still here, which is so they're minor. But I thought I haven't got much later on, so I'm going to ask these questions now. Sorry. Should I do that now?
Why not? Yep.
It's just really simple. On page 19, it talked about other management multi-agency plans, and then there was a comment that there is only one. Yeah, there's only one, but there was a few others, which is the one for the coastal tsunami plan, which I'm aware of and have taken part in a little exercise for that with the Saddle Community Board. However, there's a couple of other notes there, which looks like 5 other potential plans. So my question is this: is that the list for potential plans, and what other possibilities could or should be on that list? So firstly, do we know, is that actually a list, or a list that was just conjured up at the meeting, or is that an official list of potential calamities for which a multi-agency plan could be or might be developed at some stage? It's clean to answer that.
Yes, I certainly can. And so that was a list that was brought up at the meeting. So certainly the coastal tsunami plan specifically addresses some roles and responsibilities for multi-agencies, and so therefore was identified as a multi-agency plan. The other ones were discussed as plans that where there may be mention of multi-agencies, but they either have not necessarily been well socialized with those agencies, or were certainly well due for review. But it's by no means exhaustive. If there are other multi-agency plans out there that perhaps is fallen under the radar of the agencies involved, and certainly like to look at and review those plans.
So next question would it be worthwhile circulating this draft list to relevant agencies and ask them to put their input to the list and arrange and indicate their view on a priority order, so that we've got one plan at the moment, and then, so in other words, we could start on the second plan. Is that worthwhile doing?
If that's a question for me, then certainly it is my intention that as the agenda for the February meeting, that the attendees will be asked to reconsider that list. But if it's if it's a question for the joint committee, then that's for you to consider.
Well, you're going to consider it at your next meeting anyway, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
That's fine. That's certainly sufficient answer for me.
Yep.
And the next one, page 22, a very small question, FENS. For fifth item down, James commented that the Mount Iron Group were only interested in planning for fire, working directly with FENS.
Wow, what's the question there?
Yeah,
Sorry?
Why would that be if they're only interested in fire?
That was certainly the comment at the meeting, was that the appetite for the group that the community group that were meeting, their one and only concern was wildfire on Mount Iron. It's a hazard which is very prominent in their minds, and that's what that comment was about.
Okay. And also on that group, there's a range of police in particular are investigating virtual reality training for significant events, which seems like a really good idea to me. I saw a news item on that recently. So my question is, has virtual reality training been made available for emergency response management in Otago?
In short, no, that hasn't. There is a tool, actually, a tsunami tool being utilised by Tauranga City at the moment for tsunami awareness. It's using virtual reality, but it hasn't been this far south, and it's not something we're looking at this stage. There's some significant costs associated with setting up technology.
I imagine it being way less than actually doing it in reality.
Yes.
So, okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back to Lifeline's update. Double checking there aren't any other comments or questions on this one. We've just got the receiving the report and noting the information. I can't remember if we've got to that point of having a mover into seconder or not, but I can move it anyway, and Tim's happy to second it. Any other comments? No. All in favour then? Aye. Against? Carried. Community resilience update, Paul Allen.
Kia ora koutou. I will, you've got the report in there, and again, I'll table it as taken as read. A couple of things to update also from that. The Otago Welfare Forum has been held. It was just on the cusp of this time we're putting this report together. And that was held very successfully with about 40 attendees and about something like about 30 different agencies represented at that meeting, and some good input from getting reports from the regions, including Tairāwhiti, the Cyclone Gabrielle response, the Lopez Lodge fire in Wellington and the welfare response for that, and also an update from Queenstown in regards to the welfare response to the recent events up there as well. Also included in here again is the terms of reference for the welfare coordination group. and that's been reviewed. It's been and it's in here for you to look at as well. So if there's any questions, please let me know.
Thanks heaps, Paul. Some great work's been happening there. Any questions for Paul? Doesn't seem to be.
Well, can I just ask, I was surprised to see the Dunedin Neighbourhood Support folding. Is that something that's happening across the country with that organisation, or is it peculiar to here?
So that one was peculiar for here. So it's ceased operation in Dunedin. The actual trust is still in operation, although the trust is now operating out of Waitaki district, based in Oamaru. So the Otago Neighbourhood Support Trust is still functioning, but not just not operating in Dunedin. It was a financial decision in the end, I think, for that one.
Does that leave a big hole in the infrastructure here? I'm just thinking of my own patch and whether that's a group that, you know, if they thanks,
Sure, yeah.
So I think there are some challenges in Central Otago as well.
Yes, I wondered about that.
Luckily, we were able to obtain most of the contacts through community street contacts and the like, and that now exists in our Gets Ready platform.
Right.
So all the good work that is done over the years has not been lost, and obviously the community database now still endures within that platform. But you're quite right, it does leave a bit of a hole for those groups, particularly for Dunedin here. It's a significant group with quite some membership.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Quite good to have those graphs there with the percentage of operational readiness to have a look at geographically as well.
So just a note to that, as we've got one more quarter to report using that system, and we're changing the way of recording our activity and reporting as well. Might be updated a wee bit for the not next quarter's one, but the one after.
Okay, Tom.
Sorry, I did have something else, Madam Chair. I just hadn't realised it's to do with the terms of reference on this paper. And believe me, I'm not looking for work or cost, but I just noticed under the who does what in specific roles, the proper title being the welfare subclusters, Appendix 1, local authorities don't tend to come in there a lot. I was a wee bit surprised there seemed to be some places that we might have missed out on, but we are there for financial assistance to people affected. We're not there for shelter and accommodation for people, but we are for animals. I just sort of thought we seem to be lightly represented in the, given when I look back on COVID, which was the one disaster I was kind of involved in, we were boots and everything, but I'm not looking for work. So there may be reasonings behind it. I just make the comment without interrogating it too much.
So these lists here are as defined in the National Plan Order.
That'll do it.
In the National Plans, so we've just...
It's all the answer I need. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just raise it though. Anything else? Okay. Receiving and noting once again. Moving and seconding. Jules, thank you very much. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. 4.5 stakeholder engagement update, and Erica Andrews, welcome along as well.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. You have the report in front of you, and I will take it as read. However, one thing I would draw to your attention is probably the final item on there was around the Otago Southland PIM Forum that has been held since the writing of this report. We had excellent representation from a number of agencies and partners across Otago and Southland. Around 55 people attended, and special thanks to Madam Chair for warmly welcoming everybody to the forum. So if anybody has any questions, I welcome them. Thank you.
Thank you, and just recognise your efforts in pulling that together. It really was a fantastic event. Great diversity of people were brought together in the PIM whānau, and yeah, really good to see bringing in experience from around the country as well, so that we can learn from each other. So thanks for allowing me to come along and be part of that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions of the paper? No. Thank you. Well, we've all read that, and thanks heaps for preparing the paper. It's receiving a noting once again. Excuse me, but about to cough, I think. So I can move that. Somebody like to second? All in favour?
Aye.
Against and carried. Sorry.
Order, Madam Chair. I'll
Thank
step out for a bit, you carry on. Oh, Richard's got it.
you. It's so annoying when that happens.
Shows you human, Gretchen.
What's that, sorry?
Shows you human.
Yeah.
We'll have our moments.
Yeah, no, I must have been doing too much talking earlier on today, I think. Yeah. But we're up to 4.7, which is training and capability. 4.6, did I miss 4.6? Thank you, I'm not doing well.
That's the right topic.
Yeah, no, we've got 2 though, haven't we? Yeah, 2 on the. So the first one is John Marfini, I think.
Yep.
Thank you for the water.
I'll do that from down here. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I've got the first of 2 reports today, and just an update. The first one is just an update on the training. Again, I'll take it that the report's been read, but there's probably just two key points to note. I'd just like to draw to your attention. Since the last time we presented the report, we've had quite a significant recruitment drive, particularly with the ORC, and great support from the ORC. And as a result, we're looking at processing about 15 new people that put their hands up to indicate that they would come on board with response management. So by the end of next week, we will have put through about enough, and it will put the basic training, and it will increase our numbers currently from about 70% of the target that we're aiming for to just under 90%. So we've also had an increase in the ORC with our function lead level, and there's been an increase there. So yeah, I'd just like to thank the managers in particular at the ORC for their work in helping with recruiting our team members there. Also too, is that we had quite a significant level of training last month on the cards, and we completed quite a full week of training where we had 60 participants across just about all the TLAs in Otago, CEDM, and some of our support agencies. We put them through across 4 courses, and that was provided externally with our Moorebrook Limited, our external trainer. So it was quite a significant amount of people through the training there. Probably just one other thing to note is at a national level, working with a number of colleagues across other CEDM agencies in New Zealand and with the National Emergency Management Agency, there seems to be quite an appetite for more collaborative work, sort of a work stream to bring training together in a more cohesive way across New Zealand. So it's been quite exciting, and we've been involved in some work there as well.
Well done. Heaps on the go. 90% is a great improvement. So yeah. Are there any questions on this one? Yep, some.
I've got one, and I know I'm going to regret asking because the answer is going to be obvious and I'm going to look like a clown. But the the table that is blurred on the page 48, when you get it unblurred, it refers to QRDC, CRDC, etc. And it's got GECC. Now I'm picking the G's group, but I'm just not familiar with the acronym.
Oh, it's actually, yeah, that's principally the ORC, but it's the Group Emergency Management Coordination Centre.
Coordination Centre, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Well, the CC through me because it's like City Council. Right? So
yeah,
purely for my own.
Yeah, no, it's good to ask those questions.
Thank you, Gary. Is that because you already knew or you don't care?
We knew.
Right. Thank you.
Anything else arising from that? Doesn't appear to be. So thank you very much for coming along and presenting to us. Yep, we are receiving and we are noting. Tim and Gary, and all in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Now we're 4.7, which is the strategy for training and capability, and that's you, Matt, I think.
That's right, and
Yeah.
supported by John. So I'll just lead off briefly. This looks to formalise our approach to CEDAM training, particularly across 3 areas: how we professionalise our workforce within the CEDAM team, the training we offer to councils, particularly in that response setting, the coordination and operation centres, as well as the training we offer to community volunteers. So this formalises our approach. It is aligned to sector standards, and particularly objectives as defined within the Group Plan National Disaster Resilience Strategy as well. So, John's done a lot of work in this area. We're putting this together. Probably hand over to him now for any further comments that John may have.
Probably the only things I would add to that is that the purpose was to try and align it, our training on a more consistent basis across the country, and as Matt alluded to make sure that it's aligning to a set of national standards as well. So hopefully it's going to provide some clear, sequential and targeted training available to our response members and staff. The other thing is that it's on it's 3 yearly, and the idea of that is so that we can align it to our group plan and community resilience strategy review processes as well. From the strategy, we are starting to develop a draft operational training plan, which will put the strategy into a training practice format. And in terms of putting the strategy together, it was in collaboration with particularly Wellington Emergency Management Group and the Canterbury Emergency Management Group as well. So.
Yep, okay. Thank you very much for that. It's great to have that strategy. Anyone want to ask any questions about that? Doesn't seem to. No comments either.
I seem very thorough, and you touched on all the points I was looking for.
Brilliant, yeah. Great job. Okay then, happy to move that. Gary, you're happy to second? Yep. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And on to the finance update. And again, you, Matt.
So just a quick update here. See, there's 2 tables contained within this paper. Just to delineate between the 2, the activity codes around the council support and group activity relate to staff time, overheads and other expenses, vehicles, etc. You see the other operational codes there that are the direct costs that we use to fund D4H as a system and repeater network and things like that. So you'll see how we've defined and delineated those. There is the one external income stream outside of the uniform targeted rate, which is the tertiary education fund. And we can utilise about $80,000 a year from that fund. We have been able to develop our training to the extent that we can access that directly. We can also utilise that fund to pay for external training service providers as well. So we look to probably leverage more of that fund as we develop our training and capability strategy as well. So that heads through. But again, happy to take that paper as read, figures attached there, and take any questions.
I have one.
No, please.
Right.
Good enough for me.
Well, I'm interested in reserve. So what is the reserve and where does that come from?
Reserve obviously as a targeted rate is just carry over from previous years.
So if the rates are collected but they're not fully expended during the year, then we just hold a civil defence reserve effectively.
Right.
You adjust budgets for the next year accordingly.
Right.
No, unless there's a decision made at this stage, it's collectively.
Yeah, I think we did actually utilise some of that reserve this year to absorb some of the staff time increases through this year, so it was utilised to some extent.
In other words, the rating is set to fully fund the expected expenditure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We've got Glenn, but I think did we have you as
We
well?
have Glenn.
Yep. Glenn?
Yeah, just following on that reserve. So is there a reserves policy on if it gets to a certain level? Well, this could slowly grow to quite a large number if we're not going to use it. Yeah,
I'd have to go and check if we've got a policy on a sort of reserve ceiling, and we'll do at a certain point.
You must run foul of the rating at some point.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Just thank you, Madam Chair. Just particularly the line on the AFA, we're 14,000 overspend to date for the year on a $6,000 budget so far. Is that just a timing thing that we've had spent? And I presume the same with group activity, so it'll come right. Sweet. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on finances? No. We'll go away and see if we've got a policy regarding the reserves there and what we do with that if it mounts up. Similarly, I suppose if it goes into deficit too, but it shouldn't. It has done, yeah.
Right. So we ran some deficit, particularly after COVID. It's probably took us 2 years to come back into surplus there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess it is probably something that is quite patchy in expenditure as well, and having reserves probably is quite sensible as well. Anyway, right, no other questions. Receiving and noting. Jules would like to move that, I can see it in his eyes, and Kerry was dying to second that. Yeah, all in favour, aye, against, carried. All right. National Emergency Management Agency, Simon Chambers. Welcome, Simon, as well. Good to see you.
Kia ora. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'll take the report in front of you as read. It's slightly out of date, so I've got a few updates for it. As you'll be aware, with the election, we've now got a new minister, who is the Honourable Mark Mitchell, who's now got a new title as well. He's the Minister of Emergency Management and Recovery. So he's picked up Grant Robinson's Cyclone Recovery portfolio, so they've merged it together, which is a good thing, I think. So our CE, Dave Gorn, met with the Minister this week to discuss the brief for the incoming Minister, which was obviously around our work plan for the year and any outstanding or upcoming policies that we want to get across the line. And obviously, the biggest one we've got at the moment is the Emergency Management Bill, which was had gone through its first reading and was going out for submission when the election stopped that process. So as you'll be aware, once once the election's finished, it basically starts again. So he was pushing for the minister to re-put the emergency management bill into the House so they could continue on. So he's been updated on that, but we haven't got any decision on when he'll make a decision around that. We're hoping it will be this side of Christmas, but yeah, we just got to watch this space. Other than that, take it as read. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any?
Got a couple. Thanks, Simon. Previous ministers in my time, bar one, have made their cell phones available to mayors. Just probably a comment rather than a question, because it probably hasn't been thought of yet. And the other one is a question, because I couldn't for the life of me figure out what Southland's in recovery from. There must be something, but
yeah. Southland, you had an event same time as you did in Queenstown. Yeah,
oh,
and
Queenstown. Did they? Oh, okay. I just simply didn't know that. It was as usual, all the attention went to Queenstown. So
yeah, Gore declared, and I think Southland District declared as well.
Yeah.
And they made a group declaration as a result of it.
Right. Fair enough.
And yes, we will definitely talk to the minister about the mayor's cell phone numbers as well.
Thank you.
Jamie, have you got your hand up?
Hi, kia ora koutou. Simon, just got a question. Ngāi Tahu we submitted for the previous bill. Does that mean we've got to do it again?
No, your submissions will still be there, Jamie. It just depends on whether they accept the bill as it is, or whether he wants to trash it basically and start again. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? No. Okay. That's just a verbal report. We don't need to note that or anything, do we? No. Okay, thank you. The last one is the appointment of the local controller for Central Otago District Council. Matt's the author on this one, and we are looking to appoint Gareth Robinson. Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. Central Otago District Council passed a resolution on the 27th of September supporting Gareth's appointment into the role. We obviously support that, and it's before the committee today for ratification.
Madam Chair, I deal regularly with Gareth. He's extremely level-headed.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a fantastic person in that role, and I'd happily move. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Great, thanks for the recommendation. Gary's one second.
No, it's not great praise coming from Otago. No,
Any question or comment? No. Should be fairly straightforward. So we're just approving that appointment. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. That brings us to the conclusion. So I'll just close us off with a karakia and thank everyone for coming along and joining us. Thanks to everyone who's been online throughout as well. Big commitment, and appreciate you being there so we can ask questions. So I'll just close us off. Kia tau te rangi Māori ki runga i ngā iwi o te ao. Thank you. Thanks everyone.
thank you.
Oh, we're even done by 4 o'clock, Richard.
Well done, man.
Yeah.
Last year,
probably speak longer on those, but if we have read our papers, then we've got all the info we need.
That's also signing well-written papers, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. Yeah.
You get the information you need.
Exactly.
We'll just see.
Yes. Not risk reading.
Thanks, man.
Councillor Jennifer Howe, and fewer and fewer.
Yeah, I've got